Hey guys, I don't know if you can tell or not, but we're not home. You gotta crouch down because you're cut off. We're not home right now. We're actually in my dreamland, I think. We came to do a tour of Joel Salatin's farm, Polyface, and we're staying in the Tiny Stay, which is a really cute shed, basically. But there's a little couch, a bunk bed, a queen size bed, and a loft up top. I'm trying to convince my husband that we need to move here. We'll have to go on a little drive later, and I will take a little video of our surroundings because I've never seen anything more beautiful in my whole life. Not that I've been a whole lot of places, but this sure beats Indiana. Hey guys, it's me from the future, and I just wanted to hop on here to give a little intro before we get into the bread and butter of the video, because I didn't do a very good job of that. I was in awe and wonderment all weekend, so I kind of forgot that I wanted to make a video of this. But here's the little backstory. This weekend we went on a tour at Polyface Farms. It was the lunatic tour, the like guided hay wagon tour, and it was nothing short of magical. As you can imagine, this place is the most beautiful place I have ever seen in my life. I'm so homesick for it, and it's not my home. Like, I just want to go back a little bit, a lot of it. And but it was beautiful. We got the tour from Joel. They take 2 wagons, and you get to just kind of hang out with him for 2.5 hours, and he tells you all about his systems and why they work and how they work. And it left me feeling more inspired, more in awe, more driven probably to do more things. We're already trying to replicate it, but there are some things that we can tweak to be a little bit better. And so, with all that being said, if you have the opportunity to go, I highly recommend it. Your life will never be the same. But without further ado, here's little snippets of the Polyface farm tour.
This is not a lecture, it's a discussion, and so we very much welcome questions. Every tour.
You're not supposed to be out.
That's Peter. Every tour is different and actually takes on kind of the persona. Is kind of like classrooms are different. Those of you who are teachers, you know, every class. So, you know, some tours tend to move toward, you know, how-to. Some go to policy. Some go to, you know, family dynamics. You know, how do I get my wife to love the farm? You know, that sort of thing. So, you know, we're glad to let this. It's very organic, and it just runs however you want to.
Some of it. It's like
yeah, they like the shade. They like the shade as much as we do, which makes the pork rose colored. You know, when the industry for years, how many remember pork the other white meat? Remember that? You should have said pork the other tasteless, white, slovenly, nutrient deficient, junk tasting, you know. Because real pork should be rose colored, okay? Indicating the iron and the carotene in them. And so they get the self-feeder, which has local GMO-free grain in it. So they have their ice cream, plus they have all the salad bar they want routinely. Do just kind of with its own kind of leaderless choreography, which was very good, okay? But we can, interestingly, we've had numerous displacement tests. Chefs have done displacement tests, and they find that 10 pounds of our pork displaces way less water than 10 pounds of Smithfield pork because it's muscle tone. You know, it's denser due to the exercise. We really don't save any feed doing this. We don't save any feed over the industry, okay? But what we do get is pig with balanced omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids. We have high iron, a lot of phytonutrients from all the different seeds and plants and things that they eat, and so they're getting a tremendous variety of stuff. 3 times in a season, no more than 3 times. Pigs are very destructive, okay? However, I want you to realize that disturbance, that very strategic, short duration disturbance, we call ecological exercise. The ecology stagnates just like you and I if all we do is sit in a couch and eat potato chips, all right? And so it needs exercise just like anything else. And this is this is the great problem with the disconnected radical environmental movement, which says, it looks, I get it. You look throughout the history of civilization, and what you see is destruction and exploitation. I get it. All right, well, let's all repent in sackcloth and ashes, but then let's brush ourselves off and take this intellectual capacity and mechanical ability and the hands and heads that have hurt, let's use it to heal. Just like us. So by enclosing them in small groups, we have predator protection, weather protection. Again, the forage does not save us feed costs. They eat the same amount of feed, they just get a lot of exercise and a lot of green material with phytonutrients, phytochemicals in it, and this model is not to save feed, it's to make a nutrient-dense, nutrient-balanced product. There's no vaccines, no mRNAs, and you notice there's no flies, no smell. This can be done in your backyard. Big picture, big picture. The average American farmer is now 60 years old. Business books will tell you that any time an economic sector in a culture exceeds an average age of 35, that is a sector in decline. So farming is now 25 years over that 35 threshold. There's a sweet spot here. It's got to be heavy enough that it can't be picked up by just any old thing, but light enough that you don't get a hernia every time you move it. All right.
Right.
So there's a sweet spot here. All right. So they can't pick it up, and remember, every day these birds are advancing down the field, and so if a fox starts trying to dig a hole, dig in, he's got to finish it right now, because tomorrow he's got to start over. And so when you have stationary chickens, like a backyard flock that's in a stationary coop, the predators, they know there are chickens in that spot all the time, and they've got 24/7, 365 to examine every nook and cranny and work on things out on the backside that you don't realize it's there until suddenly you go out and there's 5 headless chickens in there, right? You're watching the news, you know that the cows have kind of got a bad rap recently, because they're going to burp and destroy the ice caps, and we're all going to be crispy critters in 30 years because of these cows. So let's talk about the herbivore for a minute, because a cow is an herbivore. So if you're opposed to cows, you're also opposed to elephants and giraffes and zebras and llamas and alpacas and guinea pigs and groundhogs and wow, there's a lot. Caribou, deer, mountain goats. There's a lot of herbivores. Well, what's the why are all these herbivores? All right. Let me ask you. 3 kinds of plants: trees, bushes, and forages. Of those 3 kinds, which one is the most efficient at metabolizing solar energy into biomass?
Forages.
Forage. See, people that come here on Polyface tours, they're so much smarter than everybody else. This is like Lake Wobegon, which everybody is above average. Okay? But if you go down to the street downtown and you ask the same question, what's the average person going to say? Trees. Trees, absolutely. Because you look at the trees, look at all that carbon, you know. But that's 80 years. You go to your lawn and designate a square yard and say, okay, for 80 years, we're going to take the clippings from this square yard, put it in a, put it in a storage building here, and make a believer out of you. Okay, but nobody does that, so we don't see it. So yes, the answer is forages, as all of you know. Well, but this forage has a problem. It has a big problem. It doesn't grow forever. It has a pretty fast cycle, and it looks like an S. I'll see if I can kind of make a crude S here. See my crude S? All right. So it starts slow, then it grows real fast, and then it ages into senescence. All right. So to help us to understand this, I call this down here diaper grass. This right here is teenage grass. When they're just growing like, I got to put a book on his head to keep him from growing out of his jeans, right? And then out here, this is nursing home grass. Diaper, teenage, nursing home. If our goal is to capture as much solar energy into carbon sequestered biomass as possible, of those 3 stages, where do I want the plant as much as possible? Teenage, yeah. I don't do trick questions. This is not a, this is not a gotcha thing. Yeah. Teenage, all right? Well, a lot of times this cycle in a forage plant will happen in 60 to 80 days. And when it goes in the nursing home, it stops. Doesn't matter how much sunlight it comes. It's done. So the reason for herbivores throughout nature is to come to this plant as it heads toward senescence and prune it to restart the rapid juvenile growth cycle. Everybody follow that? It's that simple. Bad parts of it that I don't hear mentioned much, and that is that it is the most disempowering, de-accessing platform there can be for food. The beauty of cows, as long as the sun shines and the rain comes and there's soil, we can grow our food. But if your food has to come through a $500 million laboratory, you can't do that in your backyard. Suddenly, everybody's provenance and sustenance can be shut off by powers that be with nefarious agendas. I want you to just think about this. Bill Gates. The guy has gone on record many times publicly saying in order to save humanity, we need fewer than half of the humans that exist today on the planet in order to save humanity. Now I want you to think about, this is a good method. You just go and not right now, we're on a tour, but later today you get in a corner and just sit down and think about, what could a person who believes that eliminating half of the world's population would save humanity, what could that person ethically and morally justify if they actually believe that? I would submit there's not much off the table. Just about anything goes. So you talk about a screwed up moral, ethical platform, that is a messed up ethical platform, and don't even imagine underestimating the capacity for people who think like that to orchestrate things that are, that the average person sitting out here, not only would we think they're diabolical, we couldn't even conceive of them. We can't even imagine them because our mind doesn't go there. And I'm telling you that if the neighbor did this and that neighbor did it, we could raise double, triple the amount of nutrition in the state, sequester twice as much carbon. We're not underpopulated, we're under-imagined. Our weak link is not resources, it's constipation of imagination. That's our problem.
Dig into that.
Chickens more safely and hygienically and chicken friendly than you could a backyard flock on an American homestead 100 years ago. Isn't that cool? So the winner is on. And so we raise 3 batches of turkeys in the season usually, and that gets us our Thanksgiving and Christmas turkeys. Turkeys are not just big chickens, they're a very, very different animal.
Hey guys, it's Kim from editing. If I look a little sweaty, I've been harvesting flowers all morning. But I realized when I was editing this video, I forgot to make an outro. The visit to Polyface was nothing short of amazing. It's not for looks. Like, it's pretty plain, pretty bare bones, function over form. Yeah, that's what he says. Function over form, and it was true. But that's kind of how my mind goes too. It was inspiring. It was beautiful. It put a little piece in my heart that said, I want that too. Which I'm sure it does. Lots of people that visit because it's amazing. I hope I can go back one day. It was that great. I could live there in a tent down by the river. If they would let me, but they won't because it's not how life works. But if you are kind of thinking about going, book the trip. It was amazing. We stayed in the tiny stay, which is like a tiny house up on a hill. You need 4-wheel drive. I will say that because it's pretty steep incline. But yeah, it was great. It was everything I'd hoped it would be and more, and I can't wait to go back. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time.